There's a lot to like about the men's style space here on YouTube, and personally, I'm glad to be just a small part of it. I mean, look, there's lots of different channels from lots of different creators from different age brackets talking about a bunch of different topics. And let me just say right off the top here that coming up with new topic ideas that surround men's style and fashion is one of the hardest parts about doing this full time, because let's face it, how many times can you talk about shoes? And how many times can you talk about button-down shirts? It can get really old really fast. So coming up with creative angles to talk about something that's otherwise relatively boring week after week, year after year, takes talent, creativity, and dedication. And that's why today I want to give some love and some attention to a few men's style channels that continue to put out consistent, well thought out, valuable content that I think deserves a nice knuckle bump for a job very well done. Now, keep in mind that pretty much everyone I'm going to talk about today in this video is much younger than I am. And in fact, I think I might be at least one of the oldest guys here on YouTube talking specifically about men's style and overall men's lifestyle. I'm also the lowest on the totem pole in terms of channel size with this group of gentlemen, but hey, I'm not going anywhere. Let's start with Jeff from Style OG. Now, Jeff started his channel about 6 years ago, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he was doing daily uploads for maybe the first year or so. And I remember having a conversation with him this one time, and when he started his channel, he knew what he was doing, man. He had a lot of direction. He went into it wanting to grow as quickly as possible, and he did. So all of those daily uploads, it definitely helped him out in the beginning. I think these days he's uploading about maybe 2 or 3 times every single week, and he just comes across as very knowledgeable, confident, very smooth, and basically it's like you're having a nice conversation with your really cool uncle. He covers pretty similar topics that I do, like style, grooming, and dating. So if you haven't checked him out, I'm going to link to him and everyone else down below in the video description. All right, next is Brian from He Spoke Style. Brian's the type of guy that you just know that he's going to be the best dressed guy in the room every time, but not in a intimidating, peacocking, or pretentious kind of way, right? He understands fit, he understands classic style, and he understands colors and patterns. And on a personal note, Brian reached out to me a few months ago, and he wanted to give me some honest and genuine feedback and help with my channel. He didn't want anything in return. He just noticed a few things that I could be doing better, and for that, I gained a whole lot of respect for him. So Brian, thank you very much. And if you guys haven't subscribed to his channel, head on over there and add him to your list. And this brings us to Antonio from Real Men, Real Style. Antonio is definitely one of the OG men's style YouTubers, having started his channel like 12 years ago. I think I first found Antonio about 10 years ago when I was initially starting my fashion blog and I was researching different areas of menswear. His video style has changed over the years, but in terms of his work ethic and his dedication, he's pretty tough to beat. And like I said, it's not easy talking about men's fashion like 2 or 3 times every single week, but he's been doing it for 12 years. Antonio is just one of those really solid guys, and he's also reached out to me in the past, and he sent over some pretty cool motivational items and also a complete set of his brand new fragrance line, Mission Fragrances. Now, some of his latest videos are pretty powerful, and you can just tell the amount of research that went into making all these videos just for his audience. That had to be a ton of work. So if you haven't checked out Antonio lately, you're missing out. All right, let's switch things up a little bit and highlight some of the younger guys out there, starting with Alex Costa. Alex started his channel about 10 years ago, but at that point it was mostly gaming content, and he was speaking in Brazilian, which is his native language. Alex has a pretty interesting story. He moved from Brazil to the US when he was a kid, and he didn't speak any English at all. Now, looking back through his channel, it looks like he didn't really start focusing on men's fashion until about 6 years ago. Now, Alex is definitely one of the best looking guys in this space, and he recently made the move from Los Angeles over to New York, and the views out of his new high-rise condo are incredible. Now, most of his content does skew a little bit younger, which is totally his audience, but this guy is an incredibly hard worker, and it's obvious that all of his hard work is paying off. He is definitely one to watch. Okay, the next younger guy on my list is Marcel from One Dapper Street. Marcel's been on YouTube for about 10 years. And although he's a younger guy, at least compared to me, that wears a lot of trendier pieces, you can still learn a ton from him when it comes to color combinations and pattern mixing and how to match up different pieces. He does an incredible job showing how all of these different items actually look on him, which is of course super helpful to his audience. If you guys don't follow Marcel, head over there and subscribe. All right, another younger guy that's doing a terrific job is Tim DeSaint. Now, Tim started his channel just 4 years ago, and I think he blew up with his very first video, and it was 6 ways to wear a white t-shirt. The video is only 2.5 minutes long, but it put him on the map and his channel exploded. Every one of his videos gets tons of views, and his latest video titled Why Quiet Luxury Became the Biggest Fashion Trend is, in my opinion, a masterpiece. Now, because Tim is of course a younger guy, again compared to me, his style is very fashion forward with a lot of relaxed fits, but it absolutely works for him. If you haven't seen Tim, you're missing out, go check him out. Next is Brock from The Modest Man. Now, Brock started his channel about 8 years ago, and he is unapologetically waving the flag for all the short kings out there. And I think that one of the reasons that he's so appealing to people is that he just seems so approachable, right? He's a regular guy with intelligence that talks about topics that a lot of us enjoy. His videos are very well thought out, not overly complicated. He gets pretty much right to the point. He doesn't overanalyze or over-explain anything. And pretty much everything he talks about applies to not only short men, but all of us. So all in all, a very solid channel. Go check him out. Now this brings us to Raphael from Gentleman's Gazette. It looks like Raphael started taking things pretty seriously on YouTube about 8 years ago. And if you've seen any of his videos, you know that he is the absolute go-to channel when it comes to classic style and classic men's clothing. He's an absolute encyclopedia of menswear knowledge. And I think, seriously, I learn something brand new every time I watch one of his videos. Now, even though I don't dress up quite the same way, I still absolutely love what he and his team are doing. They're the absolute best in that arena. And on a personal note, I've met Raphael in person, and in fact, I've met everyone on today's list in person. But Raphael has to be one of the most interesting dudes I've met in a pretty long time. I had the pleasure of spending 3 days with him and a bunch of these other guys a few years back in Austin, Texas at Man Camp. And the impression that I had about Raphael, just based on his videos before I met him, isn't really like who he is in person. He's got an incredible sense of humor, he's pretty laid back, but he's also direct. At least he was for me when he gave me feedback on my channel back then. But if you guys haven't checked out Gentleman's Gazette, it's definitely worth your time. Next on my list is Aaron from AlphaM. Now, Aaron needs no introduction because if you've seen any type of style video for men on YouTube, you've seen one of Aaron's videos. Aaron's been on YouTube for like 13 years, and I found him about 10 years ago, about the same time that I found Antonio. And I can remember at that time really identifying with what he was saying and how he was saying it. And he was talking about stuff that nobody else was talking about, and he was doing it in a way that seemed to make it okay to talk about. Now you can all say what you want about Aaron and how he presents himself on camera, but let me say, for the record, in person, he's a different dude. He's genuine, he's generous, he's funny, engaging, and he's very respectful. And in fact, I made a video for his channel probably about 9 years ago. I don't know if it's still there, I haven't checked, but I just wanted to say, he's the guy that inspired me to start my channel, and he's also one of the main reasons that I'm at where I'm at today. And I'm pretty sure he knows that. Anyway, my friends, if you made it this far, you are one of the true legends. Thank you so much for watching. Live well, and I'll see you in the next one.